Okay, good morning, everyone. I think it is 10:02, so we will go ahead and get started. Would like to start out just reminding you that this is being recorded so that we can share it with our online. So it will be recorded and will be posted in the next couple of days on our website. First, as always, we like to start out again reminding everyone of our mission, vision, and values, specifically so that you know whenever we're doing the qualified allocation plan, when we're working through any situation, we are definitely focusing on our values as well as the mission and vision. So, our agenda today it's going to be pretty simplified. First, we'd like to introduce everyone. We'll go through a little bit of the online application, go over the submittal dates, some helpful information, and then be open for questions. One of the things that we'd like to just point out is that if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we will answer them in an FAQ that will be provided and uploaded to the website after the meeting. Okay, we'll go ahead and start introductions. I'm Sarah Takota. I'm the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Allocation Manager. And I have been with NIFA for 7 years, enjoying every minute of it. So I'd like to turn it over to Pam. Pam, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Pam Skinner, and I am the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Assistant Allocation Manager. I've been here for almost 4 years now, which seems like longer, I think, but yeah. Cassandra?
I'm Cassandra Stark. I'm the allocation coordinator, and I started at NIFA in February this year. So,
Not too long ago. And then we have Michelle from the Nebraska Department of Economic Development joining us today. Michelle, do you mind introducing yourself?
Good morning, Michelle Grimes, housing specialist for NDED. Been on the team for almost 7 years.
Thank you, Michelle. We are glad you could join us today. I'm going to go ahead and have Pam go ahead and jump right into the new application website. We have most of you, I think, if you've applied in our 9% round, are familiar with the new application submittal software. But we'd like to make sure to share just share a few things as that will continually grow and change as we work through the applications and as they introduce new um, updates and things like that. So Pam, we'll turn it over to you.
Hello. So the link that would have, if Sarah would have clicked on apply now or apply for LIHTC, it would have brought you to a different screen, but I want to make sure everyone knows how to get to the application links from the main NIFA.org. If you just come down here to apply for LIHTC, you'll come to this screen. Make sure you're selecting the correct application. So we'll just go here. It also provides the deadlines as well. And you'll see right here a little click to the application. And when you're first creating, you'll have to create an account. I've already have an account, so I'm just going to log in. Mine will look a little different. I don't know if many of you will be doing multiple applications, but I will show you how to do that. So up here you have all these little tabs little words that you can, this is basically the different tabs for the application, and you will be able to go between different ones. Sometimes it takes a little while to go from page to page. Just depends a lot on how much information is put on your application so far. And I kind of jumped full ahead, but I'll come back here. There are items that you have to do to make sure that you can submit your application. So you want to make sure to fully go through each page. You can start out by going through each page. You don't have to. I just want to let you know that on the instructions and certification page, there is a place to add additional team members to your application. And if for some reason they don't get an invite or something, just let us know and we can see if we can get them the link. But then you can sit there and invite them. It should do it automatically once you put this here, but you can always do that. And then, yes, so you just kind of go through, it'll go through for all of your the questions that are in the application. This is a little different than before. You'll have questions and you can say, are you applying for DED? If you say yes, more items will come up. So just note that as you go through the application, that will be on multiple pages laid out that way. In your development information, make sure to do your development name because this is what's going to show up in your application list. So then you'll be able to tell between which applications you are doing. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to go here to the other scored selection criteria. I just want to show you how the screen will show up at the end because it will catch and let you know if there's anything missing on any of the pages except for the home and HTF, the NDED information. They don't, because it's not a requirement, you don't have to apply for those. It won't show up here as being missed, so you want to make sure. So you'll get this kind of shows an application summary validation, and it kind of shows you everything that is missing on your application. Hopefully when you're going through it, you won't see all this, but I didn't go and fill an application, but you can hit submit once you're done and it's all good. So if you want to, you can save and log out. And this is how you're going to be able to do multiple applications. You'll want to log back in, come here, log back in with your password that you create. And then once it comes in, you'll see this little button, add another submission. You just click that button and we'll go and label this test 2. And then I want to show you how your screen will show after you do that as well, because it should come up with a list so then you can go into which application you want to work on. I think this took me to the place that I can see because I'm an administrator. I should have created a different account, so I can't show you that, but that's okay. Just make sure you go in and it'll show you different ones that you can do. Was that all we wanted to show them for the application, I believe?
I think so. And just please don't hesitate to reach out to Pam, Cassandra, or myself if you have any questions or challenges with the new system. As I said, they're continually changing and updating things. So if you have a problem, let us know and we'll work through it. But yeah, no, I think that's it. And again, if anyone has any specific questions, you can feel free to again put it in the chat and we'll include an answer in the FAQ. But otherwise, it's pretty intuitive. And really, again, it has those, it specifically talks about which things are missing, which we really like that a lot. So we will go ahead and go back to the presentation here. Okay. So we talked a little bit about where to find the application, and now we're going to go over the submittal dates. So for the 2025 4% and 4% with state credit rounds, they're due November 28th. And then we will do our full, the scoring team will do the full review and give you a threshold deficiency correction by January 17th. And then with the idea that typically, and I don't have it, Pam, what is our, do we have our deadline for the deficiency correction?
That is January 17th.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
will-
So we will
Yes.
get you the information. Usually it's about 2 weeks before. So we try to turn these around as quickly as possible so that you have a good couple of weeks to finish to take care of the threshold deficiency items. And then the reservations should be issued at,
The feedback will come around January 3rd.
there you go. So the reservations will be issued. Our tentative date is the February board meeting. Sometimes our that board meeting can kind of shift a little because of weather or things like that. But right now our goal is the February board meeting. So some of the items that we often see as challenges, and this is again just maybe a little bit of some helpful hints. One of the issues, and I know it seems silly, but file naming is a big challenge. Please include the exhibit number when you are saving your naming your files. Ideally, you can just do exhibit 100, exhibit 101. If you need to put additional things on there like an identifier because you're working in several applications, just try to keep it short and limit it to 20 characters. Part of that is just we have a lot of character limitations when we're working in our system. So if not, we have to manually go and rename every single file, which takes a lot of time. So try to limit it to 20 characters. And then also, please don't use any special characters because, again, it's an issue with moving over to our SharePoint file system. It does not like special characters. And then use a unique name for each file. Like I mentioned, ideally, we'd like to see exhibit 100, 101, 102, etc. But surprisingly, somehow, every round, we have the same file name, a file that's a different file, but uploaded with the same name somehow. So just sort of try to be really careful with that, if you could, please. Cassandra, Pam, do you have anything else to add on file naming? Okay.
No, just making sure to keep it consistent. So if you do exhibit the full name and then one, just make sure to continue doing the exhibit full name. Or if you abbreviate EX, just make sure it's consistent throughout.
Yeah, that's very helpful. So file requirements. I know many of you put together very pretty applications, but you do not need to include a cover page. In fact, we prefer if you don't. If your file is named properly, it shouldn't be an issue. But having those extra pages in that sometimes are very detailed or take up add a lot of memory because of might be a photo or something like that, we do ask that you try not to include cover pages for exhibits. Most documents, probably 95% of the documents, will be PDF and will ask for a PDF unless it's otherwise outlined. So one of the big examples of that is the Exhibit 111. That is an Excel file, and we have to have that in an Excel file. Now, oftentimes when you're trying to upload, it may tag you if you're using a file type that's inappropriate, or that's not inappropriate, but isn't the correct file type. In some of the situations, so you may see that. But again, Most of them should be a PDF unless it's telling you otherwise, unless the directions are telling you otherwise. And the other item is please no zip files. It should be, one document. If you've got several pieces to that document, please on your end, merge them in a PDF and then upload them. As long as again, on the 111, you shouldn't have to have anything but one file, but on other stuff, if you have additional documents, they just need to be combined on your end and before they're uploaded. Pam, Cassandra, please feel free to chime in if there's anything on file requirements or anything else. If you'd like to chime in, that would be great. And Michelle as well. Some general information. Really, we like to remind everyone to look at the actual application that's provided as part of the QAP. So not necessarily the one that is that Pam showed you online, but we really encourage you to take a look at the laid out application in the QAP because each section, it spells out clearly what you need for each exhibit item. So as it mentions here, the 100 level exhibit example or the 100 level exhibit explanation start at page 21 in that in the 4% application. And then for the other selection criteria, which is your point piece, those all start on page 30. And the other thing to remember is that all of the fillable exhibit templates can be found at NIFA.org. Pam showed you earlier to go to NIFA, and then you go to NIFA.org, and then you go to developer. There is the tab that says forms and documents in that same area, and that section you are able to go to the QAP year. So you'd go to the 24-25 QAP, and you'll be able to find all of the documents together. So you'll be able to find the whole QAP, but then there's a section that has the downloadable documents that you can download. Another thing to keep in mind is all of the review requirements, and I'm mentioning it again, all the review requirements are found detailed in the application. And another piece that's really important is the exhibit examples, which is a chapter in the qualified allocation plan. So that will give you, if you're not sure, like, oh, what does the market study need to have in it? Well, that's detailed out in the exhibit examples. There's a lot of, not all of the exhibits have examples, but those that have templates or those that that may need a little bit additional explanation, or there's a required format, those are all in the exhibit examples. And you'll also find the DED exhibit examples in that section as well. So if you're applying for any funding source with the Department of Economic Development in this joint application, home and National Housing Trust Fund, you'll be able to find those forms there as well. Some things to keep in mind just as you're moving forward is that we ask that you make sure that you're not altering any third-party documents after they have been signed by that third party. So because we can tell on the PDF that when something was changed, and I mean, it gets to be a sticky situation, and because we don't we don't know if the third party authorized that change or not. So absolutely do not alter any documents after they've been signed by the third party verification or the third party verifier. And then remember the tax credit increases. We've talked about this. When you're putting your application together, we know you don't know what's going to happen. We know things are very volatile. Things change quickly. Please make sure that you're doing your best to do as realistic numbers as possible. And the reason that we just want to reiterate that is that when you are eligible to come in for a tax credit increase, Shannon has the ability, Shannon, our executive director, has the ability to go up to a 10% increase in credits, in this case, volume cap. But that's all contingent on, number one, there actually volume cap being available. And then secondly, it's, there has to be some justification. It can't just be like, oops, I forgot this, or, there has to be some justification for it. And this doesn't necessarily apply to volume cap. This isn't added yet, but keep in mind that in 26-27, any tax credit increases will impact your score. There will be a scoring penalty if you're asking for additional credits. We've talked about this several times. Now, on a 4% applications, it's a little bit different, but mostly because, again, your credit amount floats based on what your volume cap is, and we fully expect that to change. But we just want to remind everyone that this is a piece. So if you had a 9% deal that you had to ask for credits on in 24 or 25, it could impact your scoring on a 4% deal going forward. The other thing we'd like to remind everyone is, please use, for the areas of high opportunity, use the most current data available. They now have a couple of different options as far as data. So make sure you're using the most current data available, and then make sure that you're comparing it to, you can compare it to the nation or to the state. Please make sure you're using the state comparison. We're not asking you to compare to California or Georgia or something like that. We want it compared within our state. And then again, as Pam mentioned, if you're submitting multiple applications, there's a specific link for your login, but I think she showed you that. That you shouldn't have any issues with your second application. Just make sure, as Pam mentioned, that in the application name you're putting the actual project name, so that you are able to identify, instead of just putting the like the name of the company. If you're doing multiple applications, make sure you're doing the actual project name. So then, to just talk a little bit about some common threshold items that we see, we really recommend, again, and I don't look again at what the requirement of the exhibits are in the application. Some common issues we see about the exhibit 100 is that forgetting to verify that having the architect certified to the 111. So at one point in time, we had the architect put all the information in, and then you had to put all the information in the 111. And then if it got changed one place or the other and it didn't match, it was a problem. So what we've done is we've now taken out, the architect doesn't have to list everything in their in their letter or in their certification. They simply have to certify that what's in the 111 on the unit information tab is accurate. And so we see that often as a missed item. Another thing that we often see is the floor plans not being provided as requested in the application, and then labeling. I know it sounds silly, but it's so important to label things, because we are not architects. We do not necessarily know what every little single symbol means. And if there's not something very clear that shows, what a legend showing what things are, we don't know, and we can't assume. So please make sure you're clearly labeling the documents when you're submitting those items. For Exhibit 102, We often see a really old form being used, so please make sure you're using the most updated form for Exhibit 102. Exhibit 103, which is the site control exhibit. We often see an issue where where people forget to provide evidence of current ownership. So if there's an option to purchase the development, oftentimes people may forget to provide the underlying ownership on that. So we need to know who currently owns it, and basically so that we know that they have the authority to enter in an option to purchase with your development. So that's important to include. And then please note that we did add in our last QAP, so it will be for this application, that if there's a related party, there needs to be an appraisal so that we can, again, just verify that that whatever's being included is a fair market value with the document. Exhibit 108 and 116, which are the tax credit forms. 108 is the low-income housing tax credit equity verification, and the 116 is the state affordable housing tax credit form. Those assumptions, any assumptions that are listed as far as other investments or other forms of equity going into the project. For example, if there's home funds, and let's say that there's owner equity coming in, or something like that, make sure that that's listed on there. We don't need to have the amounts because we know the amounts may change. But if you're getting TIF and you're saying you're getting TIF in the application, and you're saying you're getting maybe you're from Omaha, so you're getting a front porch loan, that needs to also be your other lenders need to be aware of that, and those assumptions. I'm sorry, your syndicator needs to be aware of that, and those assumptions need to be in the listed in the 108 and the 116 in the assumption section. The exhibit 111, oftentimes we see people not using whole numbers. I know that maybe your software that you use round, and that's fine, or maybe don't round, but for our purposes, please only use whole numbers. And then the other thing that we really often see is that your syndicator might have reserve requirements spelled out that are more than our minimum requirements, or perhaps you're asking for home funds, which their reserve requirements may be more than your syndicators and more than NIFA's. So again, just make sure that whatever the most restrictive partner or program guidelines are, you're making sure that those are the correct amounts that are put in. That's probably one of the most common things we see. For other selection criteria, the exhibit 204 is housing in Greater Nebraska. One of the things that is missed the most is writing or providing us with the date that the housing was actually completed. You know, if it's a tax credit project, you use your place in service date. If it's a, if it's a house or some other sort of project, you can use whenever the unit, when it was authorized for occupancy. And we know every community is different. Some communities don't even do certificate of occupancies for single family homes, but we just need to have something that illustrates when that home was ready for occupancy, and when it was completed and ready for someone to occupy the unit. Exhibit 205, that is the form, and I don't know why the words are escaping me right now, the actual title of it. That is the form that you complete, just indicating that you will make sure that the local housing authority is aware of your aware of the units that you have available, and then if you have available units, so again, if you have available or vacant units, that you will mark it with them. as many of you know, Section 42, any development with Section 42 housing, you have to be willing to accept vouchers. So again, this is just you agreeing to make sure that you're letting the local public housing authority know if there's any availability, so that they can make sure to share that with anyone on their wait list. It's important we change this form up, so that some of you are familiar with this. Some of you, this is, this is an all new thing, but in the past, you had to have the public housing authority sign it. Well, they didn't want to sign it because they weren't doing anything. It was all on the actual owner's shoulders to go ahead and make that recommendation. So what we've now done is we've changed that form so that the owner is saying that, hey, I've agreed to that I'm going to provide you the information when we have open units, but you still have to deliver it to the housing authority so that they are they're aware of the project and aware that you may be doing that. And so we do need proof of delivery. Proof of delivery, if you choose to mail something, it would need to be just like any other proof of delivery that shows that it was delivered, when it was delivered, where it was delivered, that kind of stuff. You can do email in this situation, but again, we would need to, we need a copy of the email sent, and then some sort of response from the PHA, just acknowledging it. There's a couple different ways you can do it. So if you have specific questions, or if you have a challenge with a specific situation, please make sure you reach out and let us know, and we can talk you through that. The other item that on Exhibit 208, which is a management section of the application, is the points for the current and valid documentation for the HCCP verification or equivalent. So those of you who are familiar with HCCP know you take a test, you have to do ongoing continuing education. You have to maintain your certification. So every year you're maintaining that certification. So in the case of the HCCP, you can log on to the website, the Home Builders Association website, and you can actually find who's active in HCCP, and you can take a printout, do a printout from the screen to show that that is an active individual, that you're an active HCCP participant. Now, any other equivalent, it's a little bit harder, but again, you're going to need something to show that you're up to date on your certification. So if you took a test 15 years ago and you haven't shown you haven't maintained your, you haven't done your continuing ed, and you haven't maintained your certification and whatever it may be, we just need something showing that it is that you're still certified, and that you're up to date on all of your verifications. So far, we've looked at some equivalents, and HCCP is by far the simplest to illustrate that you're still you're still a certified HCCP individual. There's even other ways where you actually have a card that shows the expiration date through HCCP. Not everyone orders that or gets that, but again, you can go to the website, do a printout. It's very simple. Exhibit 209, that is really talking about amenities and things like that. So one of the things that we do talk about, at one point in time, we made you resubmit plans. You submitted them on the 100 and in the 209. Well, that seems silly. So we have moved it so that you're just submitting those in the 100. But if you have amenities or design standards or anything, you need to make sure that they are labeled in your Exhibit 100 and listed in the architect certification. And then finally, Exhibit 212, which is the leverage and collaboration piece, to get points in leverage and collaboration. please make sure you're looking in the application. Again, in the section, I think I said it started on page 30, to really know what can be considered leverage and collaboration. And one of the key things to remember is it has to be a firm commitment. You cannot get credit for something where you said, I applied for this. That's not a firm commitment. You need to have a firm commitment, and it needs to be from, it doesn't have to be a contract, but it needs to be, if there's a letter or something like that, that an award letter or something that gives a firm commitment of the resources that you're including as leverage and collaboration. And then finally, targeting gross rents. Please remember that the targeting gross rents, the 10% at 40%, and the I don't know why it feels like it's a Monday. The 40% at 50% are only based on the tax credit units. Now, I know in most cases we're just seeing tax credit units and bond deals, but because again, remember, because of our board guidelines, true, and you'll notice in the application that you cannot have true market units in a bond, in a tax exempt bond deal. Our board has bylaws indicate that they have to be moderate. So there's more information in the application about that. But so because of that, we typically don't see market units or moderate units in the bond deals. But just to verify, we want to make sure that you understand that those targeting gross rents are just based on the LIHTC unit. And then here's the information to reach out to myself, Pam, Cassandra, or Michelle. Please feel free. We do like if you're emailing NIFA, if you can email all three of myself, Pam, and Cassandra. We appreciate that. We're all working on different things, and sometimes it is a little bit. It's just, you might get a quicker answer if you email all of us at one time, because we really tag team on this. But again, we do have, I don't see anything in the chat. Pam, do you have some things?
Yeah, I just posted in the chat for everyone, just a reminder that we are having what we call as office hours with the tax credit allocation team. And that's when you can come if you have any questions about the online application or anything else. We can help provide guidance during those 30-minute meetings. We will be there for the full 30 minutes. So if you see that you're 10 minutes late, you can still hop on. I did put the registration links in the chat as well, so you can register for them. I also just want to make sure that we have two separate applications, one for tax exempt bond with the state credits and one without. Just make sure when you're filling out and clicking the link, you're clicking the correct link on our website to apply.
Thank you, Pam, for reminding about the office hours. The other thing that's really important to remember about the office hours is that we do create an FAQ out of those documents. So any questions that come up, or from those office hours, any questions that come up during those office hours, we will put together an FAQ and it'll be available on the website. So if you're not able to attend, or if you don't have a specific question, you can always go through and take a look at them. We want to make sure everyone has access to the same information, even if you're not able to join in on one of the sessions.
Yes, and Michelle, I think you have a couple reminders for home and HTF.
Yes, thank you. So anyone that's application that's looking at home or HTF funds, if you go through the application, you'll see that the site reviews are due now. The sooner you get them in, the sooner I can get out and get them looked at, the sites and the paperwork done. And then also the cost allocation is due as well now, so we can start talking about how many units, home or HTF, you'll need. And when you submit the cost allocation, I'll also need the exhibit 111 and 100. You can always just give me a call too if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And if you think of a question after this, you want to shoot us an email again, please do so. We do our best to try to include those all in the FAQ. If it's a general question that we think will help anyone out. So again, please feel free to reach out after this meeting, or again, we can give you a couple more minutes to put something in chat if you'd like. But otherwise, we appreciate your time today. And again, keep an eye out on the website for the FAQs, and we'll be glad to provide any information, and we'll all talk to you soon. Thank you.